Okay, cool. Okay, cool. I finally got this. Okay, we're gonna do it. Okay, so this is called Heels by Red Seeker. Caption says Megatron appreciates Starscreamer's thrusters. Okay. He's on his back across Megatron's lap in Megatron's ridiculous throne. It's kind of awkward and uncomfortable, and he supports himself on his elbows on one chair arm, his foot wedged against the other. His other foot is in Megatron. Blech. It's kind of awkward and uncomfortable, and he supports himself on his elbows in one chair arm, his foot wedged against the other. His other foot is in Megatron's hands, held up so Starscream's leg is bent at a rather acute angle. The tyrant has an uncharacteristic and downright unsettling look on his face. Almost fond. Fond. Oh my god. Starscream grimaces and watches the older mech carefully. Megatron's holding Starscream's foot in an unusually gentle grip, broadening fingers trailing over the curved arch, pointing toe, elegant heel. Starscream snorts and says with a sharp, sneering grin, "I didn't know you had a thing for stabilizing servos." Megatron shoots him a dark look, and Starscream remembers that the tyrant still has his fusion cannon attached to his arm. Now is not the time to get too lippy. Lippy. Never heard of that. His grin softens into an oily smile. "Hey, I'm not judging you, my lord. Hey!" Megatron had given the top of Starscream's heel turbine a rough pinch. "These are sensitive, are they?" Megatron says, his voice deep and silky. Starscream scowls. Megatron runs his fingers down the length of the heel, making Starscream squirm in his leader's lap. "I should have known, really. You Seekers are really built like pleasure models. Oh my god. You watch your mouth." Sir," Starscream grimaces again. He knows he treads a fine line, knows that Megatron tolerates his insubordination only so long as he remains useful or amusing. He has to bite his lip, though, when he watches Megatron lean forward a little and press a little kiss to the inside of his ankle. Megatron looks his way again, his darkened red optics just infuriatingly smug. He watches keenly as the bigger mech closes those optics and returns his full attention to the downward curve of Starscream's foot, trailing languid, open-mouthed kisses down the insole. Okay. Starscream shifts again, his aft rubbing against one of Megatron's thighs. One of Megatron's hands is stroking the jet heel thruster again. Is that innuendo for something? Okay. And Starscream lets out a rather embarrassing noise. Smirking, Megatron circles his fingertip around the edge of the turbine. Okay. Starscream mews. Meal. What is meal? What is a meal? What? Cry feebly or querulously whimper. Okay. Is it pronounced? Okay. Alright. I learned a new word today. Okay. Starscream mews again and unconsciously fires up his thrusters a little, generating a little heat but not enough propulsion to do more than jerk him back a bit. Megatron tightens his hold on the jet's foot as a warning. He thrusts 2 fingers into the turbine himself. Okay, is that his butt? Okay. Starscream yelps and tries to kick, but Megatron has always been stronger than him, and he refuses to let go. "What the slag are you doing?" Starscream hisses. Megatron gives a beatific smile. Oh my gosh, I'm learning words today. Beatific? I think it's beautiful. Something beautiful. Okay, exceedingly beautiful. Okay. Megatron gives an exceedingly beautiful smile. "I just wanted to try this out," he replies. He pushes his fingers in a little further, and Starscream curls his clawed fingers, making slim scratch marks on the inside of the throne's arm. Careful, Starscream says. He powers up that, oh my gosh. He powers up that thruster just a fraction more. It'll take your fingers off. Or, is that supposed to be threatening, or is that sexual? I don't know. Oh my gosh. Now why would you do something like that, Starscream? Megatron says, sounding every bit the disappointed teacher admonishing a wayward student. To your beloved leader? Starscream growls quietly and lets his thrusters power down, though they still generate some heat. His whole system is running hot. There's nothing else he can do about it. That's all Megatron's fault. His intakes falter when Megatron removes his fingers, repositions Starscream's foot a little, and replaces them with his glossa. What is a glossa? What's a glossa? Tongue-like structure. What? Tongue-like structure in the labium. I thought it said labia. Labium of an insect's mouth. Okay. Alright, so what do you do? I'm still trying to figure out what he did. Replaces them with his tongue? His tongue? What? Oh my gosh. What? Okay. I don't know what's happening too much, but we're gonna keep going. Okay. Ah! What? Are you insane? That's nice though. Oh my god. Starscream grits his sharp dentals and screws his optics shut, cursing himself and his leader all at once. He lifts one hand from the throne's arm and brings it to Megatron's chest, raking his claws over the brand in the center, taking his small revenge by leaving a mark. He feels Megatron tense, and when he looks up, his leader has drawn back and is giving him a dark look that isn't all quite hostile. Next thing he knows, he's being manhandled until he's kneeling on the floor, pushed face down into the throne with Megatron behind him, one hand on top of his wing, the other wrenching his pelvic plating open. The Jet laughs. Surrendering your throne to me, my lord? Not a chance. Megatron growls as he slips his jack inside. Okay, so apparently teasing and banter went on, and I think Starscream gets plowed by the end of this. But yeah, it was a fun read. I don't really know much to say, but I am interested in more like Megatron Transformers fanfic. I don't really know too much about them. The last time I watched Transformers anything was like when I was a kid, like when I was 10, like when a TV show or cartoon show would come on in the mornings or something when I'd get ready for school. So, holy cow! Let's see what more there are. Oh, this one is called Found. Megatron is reunited with an old flame of his. So this is Megatron again. Okay, let's do it. He had assigned for, I'm gonna get some water first. Oh yeah! Oh my gosh, abs. Okay. He had assigned 4 of his soldiers to sentry duty at the excavation site. It was not really necessary to guard the ship. He had already given the human scientists a good fright, making sure those filthy organics stayed away from what was his. And since no Autobot had shown his ugly face the whole day, it was safe to assume they had lost interest in the ship, undoubtedly deeming it worthless now its main power source was destroyed. Surely they wouldn't expect him to make a fuss about it. Thank Primus for Autobot's stupidity. Still, he had felt a little power demonstration was in order, and be it only to put himself a bit more into the limelight for the upcoming encounter. Yes, even the great Megatron was not completely above such things. Okay. It's an interesting start. The ship had suffered some considerable damage in its crash and a subsequent long entombment. Okay, cool. The electronic mechanism which normally unlocked the doors wasn't functional, so he had to resort to physical strength. It took him some effort. After all, this was a warship, and when the doors were closed, they were meant to stay closed. But eventually he managed it. Most of the corridors were jammed with debris and pieces of rock, and he had spent a good half-jor clambering. What is a half-jor clambering? What? Half-jor. Half-jor. Jor. Clambering. Okay. I have no idea what that means. If anybody knows, hit me up, because I have never heard that expression before. Holy cow. Okay, where was I? Okay, he spent a half-jor clambering over and around the various obstacles that presented themselves. He could have blasted his way through, of course, but he opted against it, enjoying the idea of teasing himself a bit by postponing the meeting another bream or two. It required a great deal of self-restraint not to reverse a decision when he had turned back twice, as there was simply no way to get through. But finally he'd made it. With a last effort, he pried open the heavy doors to the command bridge. So here he was now, standing in the very heart and center of his once proud flagship. His beautiful, beautiful nemesis. Oh my god, is this canon? I didn't know this. I wonder, did he have a ship in the cartoons? Holy cow. Okay. It came close to a miracle, but the Cunning Tower, Okay, had sustained fairly little damage in the crash, probably due to its heavy shielding. In the dim glow of the emergency lights, he could make out dents and cracks in the walls, burnt-out consoles, and bulky pieces of metal lying around. But compared to what could have happened, it was relatively harmless. And most importantly, a series of external scans had already confirmed what he barely dared to hope. The main computer was undamaged and online. Okay, I still don't really know too much what's happening. I don't know. He stepped further into the room and started to slowly walk along the circular walls, fingers brushing gently across the cool metal now and then. When he finally spoke, he made sure his voice was quiet and as soft as he could manage. "Good evening, my beauty." No reaction. Well, he hadn't expected an immediate response. After all, it had been 4 million years. He tried again. "Been a long time, hasn't it?" Still no answer. He felt a slight sting of impatience at this obvious stubbornness. "Oh, come on," he said a little louder. "Don't play dumb with me. I know you're online." There were one or two clicks. Oh my gosh, clicks are spelled with a K. Oh my gosh. Okay. There were 1 or 2 clicks of perfect silence. Then a soft electronic chime could be heard, and a disembodied voice spoke. "Attention, Commander on the bridge." The voice carried the metallic echo that was typical for Cybertronians, but it was smooth and soft, with some imagination, vaguely female. Megatron was a very imaginative mech when he set his processor to it. He tried and failed to suppress a small victorious smile. "Yes," he murmured improvingly, "your commander is back." The silence that stretched between them was now filled with the gentle hum of the main computer systems. Megatron resumed his wanderings around the room, casting weary glances across the shadows as he waited for her to react. Eventually, the soft chime sounded again. "Your orders, Commander?" He paused, hesitating. Giving orders was not exactly what had brought him here, but some small talk would probably help to break the ice. "Give me a status report," he said. The computer started to rattle off dates and figures, and Megatron listened with a kind of morbid curiosity, creating a new file in his memory banks and carefully stowing away each little piece of information while he indulged himself in fantasies of the day when he would happily blow this whole planet into oblivion. This puny, muddy, sorry little excuse for a celestial body would pay for every single scratch in his nemesis's armor plating. He'd make sure of that. And then she gave him the keyword he had been waiting for. "Main power source is not accessible." all systems running on emergency power supply. For a computer, she sounded quite reproachful. He felt only half amused at the thought. I know, he said. I needed the heart for a major offensive. We're still waging a war here, you know. Affirmative, came the reply, but your attack failed. There was definitely a hint of smugness in her voice now, and this angered him even more than the reminder of his failure. How did she dare to question his decisions? What do you know about it? He snapped. The heart was one of the most powerful energy sources in the universe. I can't afford to neglect such opportunities. The light ping she answered him with sounded suspiciously like a gloating laugh. He felt his hands ball into fists. Don't test my patience, you. The next moment, realization hit him square in the faceplates. Okay. And he stopped in mid-sentence when he realized what little trap she was trying to lure him into. For a moment, he was too stunned to say or do anything, but then his anger dissolved as quickly as it had come, and he couldn't help but smile incredulously. Dear Primus, 4 million years, and it seemed like he had learned nothing at all. How could it be that the great Megatron, supreme leader of the Decepticons, could keep a whole army in line with a literal iron fist, but constantly made a fool of himself in front of a cheeky little femme? I had briefly scoured through another fanfic involving Transformers, and I didn't know this prior, but apparently female Transformers are just called femmes. Correct me if I'm wrong, or I'll just look it up if I'm wrong, but I didn't know that. Okay. Let go. His grin widened when he suddenly thought of something. The squishies have a saying, you know, he said with a disarming gesture. All spare in love and war. Oh, the humans are the squishies. Oh my gosh. Okay. All spare in love and war. She was a warrior, just like him. She knew when to change tactics. Please define term squishies. The humans, he clarified, those organic creatures that dug you out. A series of electronic pings indicated her checking her databanks. My information is insufficient. Data input required. Was she interested in the humans? Pit, the crash must have rattled her circuitry more than he thought. Nevertheless, he racked his processor for any information he could give her on the human race. Well, they're the dominant species on this planet, though only Primus knows why. Bipedal animals descended from negative, she interrupted, data input required. It was the tone rather than the words that made him understand. Her voice had dropped to a low, sensual purr that triggered fond memory files in his CPU and sent a pleasant shiver down his back struts. His hand, oh my gosh, I see where this is going. His hand came up almost on its own volition. I am going to look, sorry, but I'm going to look this up. Okay, volition. I am learning vocab words today. Okay, the faculty or power of using one's will. Oh shit, I can keep you, oh my gosh. This is something I can use in real life. Okay. I get excited over learning new words. Okay. Where was I? Volition. Okay. His hand came up almost on its own volition to ghost across the nearest wall gently, teasingly. And who am I to deny you, my beauty, he breathed. The room seemed to come to life at his words. A soft electronic whistle could be heard, monitors flashed, and a single light was switched abruptly on, in the one right in the middle of the room, directly above the commanding officer's seat. The invitation couldn't have been clearer. Okay. He smiled a little as he advanced slowly, taking the 3 steps that led up to the chair, and a kind of solemn excitement pulsed through his spark as he took his rightful seat for the first time in 4 million years. He was back in control, taking back his power, taking back what was his. Slowly and deliberately, he let his fingers wander over the various controls in the chair's armrests, pushing buttons and flipping switches carefully. Many of them weren't functional anymore, which he indicated to him with an almost regretful-sounding chime. But all the others she reacted smoothly and willingly, submitting to his very touch. Primus, he missed this. The main screen flickered online suddenly, changing from black to blue and to a dazzlingly white, and then back to black again, now displaying a single light of Cybertronian glyphs. Data input required now. Megatron tried very hard not to smirk triumphantly. He failed. Next to all the switches and buttons in the chair's armrest were several connector sockets, which allowed the occupant to directly link themselves to the ship's main systems, should the situation call for it. Okay. Normally this required some kind of plug or connection cable, but Megatron was not dependent on such external hardware. The highly sensitive sensors lining his palms allowed him to hack any computer system he wanted with nothing more than a simple touch. His hand hovering over the ports, it took him only a few clicks to attune his system's electronic impulses and data frequencies to hers. For a moment he enjoyed the tingling feeling of the small amounts of electricity that passed between him. Then he finally gave in, and when his fingers touched the smooth metal, the connection snapped easily into place. At least one thing was certain. She was eager. He barely had time to brace himself when the first combined surge of energy and data crashed into his systems, nearly jolting him out of his seat, breaking half of his firewalls with startling ease. Oh my gosh, okay. So I guess Megatron is getting it on with his ship, I guess. Alright. Megatron found himself bent over in his chair. Okay. Then cycling hard, and HUD, or HUD, flashing with warnings. Easy, easy, he grounded out as he fought to overwrite the automatic commands that tried to push the intruder out of his processor. Take it easy, will you? She withdrew immediately and gave a soft, ringing sound. Apologies. I'll take that as a compliment, he murmured amusingly as he straightened his back. You must have missed me. Instead of an answer, he received a firm, solid push against the last layer of firewalls protecting his core processor, and since the hierarchy had seemingly been re-established, he saw fit to grant her request. This, of course, did not mean he was idle. While she, very gently this time, felt her way into his core memory, he pushed into hers determinately, meeting no resistance. She gave a contented hum, and when their individual data signatures fell into sync just a moment later, he sent a warm pulse of energy through the link and concomitantly initiated the downloading process. Okay. Alright. Accompanying, especially in a subordinate or incidental way. Okay, cool. Alright. I'm learning words. Oh my gosh. Okay. We're almost done, guys. Okay, I promise. The sheer amount of data he was confronted with was enough to send a hot tingle through all his systems. Needless to say, her processor was much of a higher capacity than his, simply due to its size, but this... He virtually lived through 4 million years of memories in mere fractions of an astrosecond. Their departure from Cybertron, the pursuit of the Ark, the confrontation with the Autobots. Then suddenly, the strong, irresistible force of the planet's gravitation that forced both ships out of their flight path. The breakdown of the engines and seemingly endless fall, the severe crash that all but offlined her for good. She had made it and survived, but barely. Many systems were damaged to a degree that was beyond what her auto repair could manage, and it had taken her quite some time to at least stabilize the rest, but time was not really an issue, for after this came a long wait. 4 million years of drifting back and forth between standby mode and occasional phases of being online when an earthquake or a volcano jolted her awake. Species and climates and even mountains and oceans were coming and going, but nothing really changed for her. She lay helpless, motionless, alone. But finally, the long-awaited, long-hoped-for reunion had come. He felt his whole body shudder and jerk under the onslaught of emotional energy all these images brought with them. Her pain, her fear, her loneliness, but also her hope and determination to hold on, and the wild joy at finding out that her crew and her commander were still functional, and had finally come back to her. Megabyte after megabyte of it was streaming into his processor, straining his circuitry to the point of sweet pleasure pain, and all the while she clung to the connection firmly, not only sharing her memories, but simultaneously taking part in his as well, greedily sucking up each little piece of information she could find. The data streams started to blend together and become a dazzling, frantic mix of images, energy, and emotions, and he was dimly aware he was losing control, that his hold over the situation was beginning to slip. But Pitt, how could he possibly care about that now? Her voice held a deep echo, contented pleasure when she purred his name into that low seductive tone of hers, and the next thing he knew, it was just too much to bear. A flash of lightning seemed to shoot through his systems. He felt his body rear up in his seat, his circuits sparking with pleasure for a wonderful, glorious, terrible moment before nothing was left but blissfully exhausted darkness. It took him a moment to get his bearings when he unlined. She had dimmed the lights to a soothing semi-darkness, and all her systems were emitting a deep, gentle hum. The connection between them had not been broken, and truth be told, Megatron did not feel especially compelled to do so. Not now, not just yet, when both their energy signatures were so... Yeah! Cool! It didn't go off on me. Awesome. Okay. Not now, not just yet, when both their energy signatures were so flawlessly aligned, pulsing in perfect unison. He offlined his optics again and leaned back in his chair, enjoying the gentle aftershocks running through his body. You don't fool me, my beauty, he teased. You have missed me. She did not deem this worthy of an answer, but he realized with proud smugness that the humming became even deeper. You'll be coming with me, he continued. I just have to work out a plan to make sure those pit-spawn Autobots don't get in our way. It's high time this base of mine gets a decent main computer. Affirmative. There was still a hint of purr in her voice, and Megatron couldn't help but grin. He knew that, had she had a face, she'd be smiling now. His fingers absently caressed the ports that still connected their systems, while his processor already started to draw up plans for the upcoming operation. Okay. This sucked slag. I have no idea what a suck slag is, or what a slag is in Transformers universe. Okay, so do forgive me. But Frenzy kicked at a stone angrily while he glared daggers at the ship. He could have been with his family now, sharing his evening ration with his siblings, and then curl up snugly in Soundwave's chest compartment to have a good recharge. I assume this is a human person. Okay. Instead, he had to hang around in the middle of nowhere and be bored out of his processor. Okay, it's not human. Bored out of his processor to guard his useless slag heap, while Megatron was crawling around somewhere in debris doing Primus knew what. He had looked up when he heard footsteps nearing and saw Starscream riding past him on his patrol round. The Seeker didn't even bother to look at him, and that was the last straw for Frenzy. What the pit are we doing here? Starscream paused in mid-stride and turned to him. He wore his usual sneer, but his optics flared angrily. Got a problem, soldier? You bet I do. Frenzy was much too peeved off by now to be intimidated. He pointed at the wreck. Why do we have to guard this worthless lump? It's a complete waste of time, and we've been standing around here for jors. Okay, I'm assuming that is maybe some kind of, I don't know, transformer word for time. Some kind of time thing, I don't know. What the frag? Oh my gosh, is this, what the frag? Is this transformer cursing? Okay, what the frag is the big boss doing in there that can't possibly take him that long? For some reason, the sneer on Starscream's faceplate slowly turned into a salacious grin at these last words. Aw, don't blow a fuse, little sparkling, he taunted. I'll tell you when you're older. Okay, so that's it. Holy cow. Okay, I am dark because I have the window open, and at first it was light, but the sun's gone down, so that's why I look darker towards the end of the video. But that wasn't too bad. Holy cow, that was interesting. I still don't know about the Transformers universe all too well. Apparently Megatron has a thing for his ship. I think that's something I don't think was covered in the cartoons when I was a kid. Or maybe, I don't know. But yeah, so I enjoyed these. I'm gonna keep doing this, just read fanfictions. So yeah, thanks.